can burn. I'm keeping my lamp full, waiting on the bridegroom. Cause when the kingdom comes, say I wanna be ready. We're keeping our lamps full.
Welcome back to Lamp Oil Stock, a channel where we look at different issues from an Israelite perspective. And before we continue, take a moment right now and subscribe or hit the like
or dislike.
Leave us a comment. Let us know if the content that we're making is something that you guys really enjoy or what you like about it.
Don't forget to share if you think it'll be beneficial for someone.
Absolutely. But today we're going to do something a little different. What are we doing today?
I don't know if this is different. We're asking a question.
Oh, okay. So we're doing I have a question. All right. So what is the question today?
The question is, has your ox fallen in a pit?
What? What? I love your questions. They're great. Has your ox fall? I don't own an ox.
Well.
Okay. Wait. Hold on. Let's kind of square this one. Let's get this one started. Okay. So what are you talking about when you say, has your ox fallen into a pit?
Well, I listen. I have a lot of, most of my family are not Israelites.
Right.
And when I try to talk to them about the law, especially on the Sabbath,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the day that a lot of people take to go shopping, to go out to eat.
Now
to
you're
clean
talking
their
about
houses.
Friday night to Saturday night.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll tell, I'll say something like, well, it's the Sabbath and you're not supposed to be cleaning. And I'll always get the response, or a lot, I'll get the response, well, if your ox is falling into a pit.
Okay. I'm with you. Okay. Now I know what you're talking about, but what is they're actually quoting the Bible for that.
Right.
Okay. So what, oh my God, what quote, where is that at?
So if you go to Luke chapter 14,
Mm-hmm.
Christ is on the Sabbath. I believe he's in the synagogue, but don't quote me on that. Really, don't quote me on that. And a man comes up and he has the dropsies, or he's sick.
Right.
And Christ asked the Pharisees if it's lawful to heal on the Sabbath.
Right.
And they don't respond. And he answers them and says, verse 5, Luke chapter 14, verse 5 says, and answered them, saying, which of thou shall have an ass or an ox fallen into a pit, and will not straightway pull him out on the Sabbath?
Okay. So is Christ saying we can work on the Sabbath?
He is not saying that we can work on the Sabbath.
Okay. All right. So walk me through it. What's the logic here? Because I know I'm with you. I'm usually right beside you, and we hear this. We hear this all the time. Well, Christ said, if your ass falls into a pit, you got to get it out. So I need this thing so I can get it.
Right. Well, I'm not talking about it because my Christian family uses those that lie to me all the time only. But it's also because I hear a lot of Israelites saying the same thing for different reasons. Like, example, we used to try to buy animals because we have farm animals,
right?
And they would have the flea market on Saturday.
Oh, Saturdays. Yep.
And we would want to go to the flea market to purchase or look for different animals to buy, but we couldn't go. And I'd have other people I know who are Israelites that would say, well, they only do it on Saturday, and if your ox is falling into a pit.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you.
And so that is my issue, is that Israelites use this same verse a lot of times to do things that they want to do on the Sabbath.
Right.
But in this case, you have Christ who sees someone who's sick, and he heals that person because out of love, this person needed to be healed. This is not something that you could pre-plan for.
Right.
But sometimes people say, well, I ran out of my medicine. I need to take it. Today's the Sabbath. Oh, well, I know I'm not supposed to buy or sell, but if my ox falls into a pit, I need the medicine.
Right.
But this is not an excuse to not prepare before the Sabbath for what you need on the Sabbath.
Okay, I'm with you. Now, there are, I guess the way I want to ask this question, because although I know some of this answer here, but let's think about it. So, Christ is not just talking about just an emergency. All right?
Right.
Some emergencies can happen. That's absolutely true. Right? But he's really referring to work that you do for the Most High.
Right. Right.
And in the example that you've given, he is healing this person in an extension of his ministry.
Right. He's healing this person out of love, because if he has the dropsies and he's had it for a while, then what difference would it make if we waited one more day?
He could be dead the next day. You are absolutely correct. I mean, leprosy or whatever it is, that's woo.
Well, and there's another case that we're going to look at in a moment where there's a woman that comes in who's been sick for 18 years or something like
Right.
that. And the Most High heals her too. I'm sorry, Christ heals her.
Right.
But in those cases, he's looking, this is a person.
Right.
And this person has a need. And this need, he can do something about it. So he does. He heals that person. It's not the same as saying, I have this situation that is continually happening every week, and yet I'm not taking the steps to prepare for it the day before. So now I can go and do something to break the law. Those are two different types of things.
Okay, now I got to give you one. I'm going to have to bring up. I have to bring up our own situation here for just a second. So, a while back, of course, we do rest on the Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
So a while back, me being the guy that I am, completely forgot to pay the electric bill. Completely forgot, and here it goes. Sabbath morning, right? We were getting ready to do church, and the lights went out.
Right.
So, of course, it's not dark. I mean, it's during the day, but we had no water, we had no heat, we had nothing. All the families together, and we're sitting not in the dark, but only in what light could fall through the room.
Right.
Okay, so can I pay the electric bill?
Well, we didn't pay the electric
That's
bill,
true,
of
we
course,
didn't.
because this was something that you should have prepared for.
You're right.
Because the Bible says that you're supposed to do all of your work during the 6 days, and then on the seventh day you rest. So you should have made sure that our stuff was ready for the Sabbath, and you didn't, so we had to suffer the consequences of that. However, on the same note, if my child was running against my suggestions in the house, falls, trips, breaks a leg, I'm going to jump up and take my child to the hospital. And if I got to buy gas to put it in my car to get there, or whatever I have to do in order to help my child, I'm going to do that no matter what day it is.
Right.
Because that's an immediate need versus and it's not something I could have prepared for in advance.
Right. So what we ended up doing, and just in this example, the lights go out. We ended up just waiting until dark, till the Sabbath has passed, and then paying the electric bill at that point.
Right.
So, as I'm looking at this, before we get some more Bible verses, as I'm looking at this and thinking about it, the idea is to rest and be with the Most High. Mm-hmm. That is the goal. That's what you should be trying to do. Now, if there is some sort of emergency that is just unavoidable, like Christ's example, you have an ox that falls into a pit, you would get them out. Your child is hurt. You would deal with that. But if it could wait, then it should wait.
Right. If you use the example of, well, they only did the we could only go on the Sabbath in order to buy those animals from the
Right.
flea market. Well, we didn't do it, even though it was very tempting, because I could buy animals on another day.
Right.
It was just harder and more expensive to get them at a different time. So, yeah, it would have been convenient, but God's laws aren't here for my convenience.
That's correct. That's
right? I have to follow the law if it's convenient or not. And using my ox falling is not, it's not an excuse. Christ didn't give us a way to make an excuse to break the law.
Right. Now, I want to bring up an example of this particular law. So, in Numbers 15 and 32,
Okay.
maybe we should start at 31.
All right.
All right. Do you have it? Can you read it real quick?
Yeah. Numbers 15, verse 31. Because he hath despised the word of the Lord, and hath broken his commandment, that soul shall utterly be cut off. His iniquity shall be upon him. And while the children of Israel, I'm sorry, verse 32, you're supposed to say that.
I'm sorry.
And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day.
33.
And they that found him gathering sticks brought him unto Moses and Aaron, and unto all the congregation.
34.
And they put him in ward, because it was not declared what should be done to him.
35.
And the Lord said unto Moses, the man shall be surely put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones without the camp.
Okay. So, let's look at this real quick. So we've got this guy who is gathering sticks on the Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to read into this for just a second. I'm assuming he's gathering sticks to build a fire. We don't know, but he's out gathering sticks.
Right.
Right? And the congregation finds him, and they don't actually, at this point, they don't know what to do.
Right.
So, I know I'm basically just retelling the story, but they take this guy in, take him to Moses, and say, entreat with the Most High and tell us what we should do here. And the Most High says he's gone. He's got to go.
Right.
Stone him to death.
And see, here's the difference. He knew that he needed sticks before the Sabbath. He had 6 days. It's yes, maybe he needed a fire or something, but that was something he should have been doing beforehand. This was something that could have been anticipated. So the punishment for this was death because he broke the Sabbath, but it was also death because God is trying to teach a lesson here, right? If you allow people to break the law and you don't see a punishment happen to them, then more people will see them and start breaking the laws because they feel they can get away with it. Now today, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, we don't have a type of setup now where we just kill people when they break the law.
Right.
But that's why you have so much evil going on in the world and in our communities, is because people aren't seeing that immediate punishment.
Right. And they're seeing people break the law and nothing happened to them. That's what you mean by non-immediate punishment. So they feel like, oh, well, that guy was doing whatever. They see an Israelite breaking the law, and they immediately start saying to themselves, well, I can do it too.
Right. So then we get back to the people saying, oh, well, I can do this because if my ox falls into a pit.
Oh, I'm hating that line already. Okay, so now I've got one more that I want to bring up.
Okay.
All right, but this one, Exodus 35 and 3. Now, it says, do not light a fire in any of your dwellings on the Sabbath day.
Right.
Now, we used to live where it was cold. I mean, it was cold.
Right.
And we ran up against this, where we had a fireplace,
Yeah.
and it's the Sabbath, and the fire went out. And once again, this one was my fault. What we would do is we would keep the fire burning by just adding wood to it on the regular, and I forgot to do that.
Yeah, we went to sleep and we slept well, very well, and then we woke up and it was completely out. There weren't any coals and it was freezing.
Yep. And for the the rest of that day, the entire day, we were just cold. That was just all there was to it. We were just cold.
Yeah, but the blessing is that it got dark earlier
True.
in the winter than it does in the summer, so we didn't have to wait as long. But we were cold, but we weren't cold enough that we were going to die.
Right.
We were just uncomfortable. And, some people would say, well, I'm going to use this as an excuse to light a fire because I got children and other people are depending on me. So, it would be nicer if it was warm. The thing is that you're not supposed to try to figure out a way to circumvent the law as an Israelite. You're supposed to figure out how you can follow the law no matter the circumstance. And then if you can't figure out a way to follow it, then maybe you need to say, well, my ox fell in a pit.
Now, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Now, there have been, I know when we first became Israelites years ago, I used to work on the weekends and ended up having to leave that job and try to find another one.
Right.
That's the thing. As you become an Israelite, it should be reflected in the life that you're living.
Right. And I'm not saying that a person that works on the Sabbath is just wrong because they're breaking the law, because there's so many other things that go into that. You have to live, and in order to live in this world, you have to have electricity, you have to have food, and if you don't work, then how do you provide those things? So it would be on a person-to-person basis, right? Are you, the job that you're having, that you're working on the Sabbath, if that's all you can get, then that's what you have to do to take care of yourself. But you should be looking for a way to find a different job if possible. So I can't look at someone and say, oh, you work on the Sabbath, so you're wrong, because that's crazy. I don't know what's going on with you, or the struggles that you're going through, or how far in your walk you have walked. So we're not trying to condemn anybody. We are trying to get people to think about what it is they're doing and how or if they can do better.
Okay, now I got to bring up one last. I know it's going pretty long, but I got to bring up one more topic. Okay, so here in our house, we have the rule against. It's not that we have the rule. We're trying to follow the Sabbath as best as possible, and when converting that, you cannot work on the Sabbath into modern day rules for kids. One of our rules is we don't cook on the Sabbath.
Right.
Okay. But we don't worry about the microwave as long as you're not cooking anything.
Right.
Okay. Now, one of our children, our daughter, has looked at that particular rule and is like, Mom, Dad, you're wrong. You are wrong. Right? So she does not use the microwave on the Sabbath, and she cites this particular verse, you can't light a fire. Even though there's not necessarily a fire in the microwave, it produces heat. So she says that's cooking.
Right.
So, and the reason I want to bring this up is, even though
airing our dirty laundry,
it doesn't matter. Listen, people got to think about it. That's a thing. The law itself says that you can't light a fire, you can't do any servile work, all those type of things. but understanding what that actually means, in a practical sense, modern day practical sense, can be very difficult, and people get slightly different answers.
Right. So we say that back in the day, they would have lit a fire before it got dark, and they would have kept that fire going. So if they had some food, they would have just, in order to warm it up, they would have thrown it on the fire.
Right.
Because they wouldn't have been cooking it, they would have just been warming it up.
Right.
So the microwave, I think, would be like me just throwing it on the fire, but I could be wrong.
Right.
So our daughter says we are wrong, and she doesn't do that. And what do you guys think? Are we wrong?
Well, there's people that use crock pots. They start the crock pot on Friday afternoon, and they just let it run all the way through, so that they're not doing anything, but the food is still warm.
Yeah, and we do that too. But if you,
Like I
I
said,
don't know.
Like I said, our daughter says, "Nope, sorry. if it has to do with prepping the food in any way, I ain't doing it." And that's the thing. The biggest thing, really, like we say on a regular basis, get your Bibles. You yourself, let us know what you're doing on the Sabbath. Let's hear about it. This is a great topic. All of us celebrating the Sabbath have to struggle with this and trying to explain it to our children, explain it to ourselves. So please, whatever you've got, let us know as well.
So leave us a comment and tell us who's right, or who you think is right, and why you think they're right. Us, who use the microwave on the Sabbath, or our daughter, who says we're wrong. I'd really like to know what you think.
Okay, guys. Hey, thank you all so very much for taking a little bit of time out to listen to us gab and talk about the microwave. If this has been a good message for you, something that you want to share, please do so. Give us a like.
Or dislike.
Leave us a comment. Like I said before, let us know what you think. Do you have anything else?
Kwam Yasharala.
On the Sabbath. That's what we doing. We chilling on the Sabbath. We're chilling on the Sabbath.